holiday season, you might be looking for nutritious, convenient meals to keep you energized on jam-packed days. Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal delivery service, can help you fuel up for brekkie, lunch, or dinner with chef-prepared, dietitian-approved, ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. They just drop them at your door, people. You'll save time and eat well. You'll stay on track with your healthy lifestyle while taking all of your holiday to-dos in stride with good meals in the tum-tum. If you're too busy with all this stuff, these meals are easy to get done. They taste great. All you've got to do is head over to factormeals.com/expandingreality50 and use code expandingreality50 to get 50% off. That's code expandingreality50 at factormeals.com/expandingreality50 to get 50% off.
This podcast is sponsored by Skylight Frame. If you're looking for a great holiday gift, there is nothing more meaningful than a Skylight digital picture frame. Skylight is a touchscreen frame that everyone in the family can send photos to from anywhere, and they'll pop up in seconds. It is the perfect gift for new families, parents, and grandparents, or anyone who has all of their photos stuck on their phone. With Skylight, you can actually preload photos before you give it as a gift, without even opening the box. Once it's unwrapped and plugged in, the frame will light up with all those special memories. Surprise your loved ones this year with a beautiful Skylight frame, now available in multiple sizes and colors. Grab yours today because they're very popular and sell out around the holidays. For a limited time, you can get $15 off your purchase when you go to skylightframe.com/Mary. That's right. To get $15 off your Skylight frame, just go to skylightframe.com/Mary. That's SKYLIGHTFRAME.com/Mary.
A choice right now, between fear and love. It's just a rock.
Out of the dark night of ignorance and into the shining light of truth.
Expanding reality.
A population of citizens capable of critical thinking.
We don't see things as they are, we see them as we are.
There's a level of reality where everything dissolves into an ocean of energy.
We empower our experience by insisting on our authenticity.
That's very profound. Very.
Expanding reality.
Welcome to Expanding Reality Podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Thomas. This episode, guys, we get to talk to Vikter Bang. The only question I got for you is, are you ready for an upgrade in consciousness? Because that's exactly what this is. He is a fantastic thinker, a seeker, a modern-day philosopher. This guy and I really go down some deep rabbit holes, and it's fantastic. He is one of the most chill, one of the most amazing free thinkers that I have ever come across. Absolutely grateful to have him on the show. You guys, all of the ways to find him, his website, his TikTok, his Instagram will be linked in the show notes. You guys go check that out. Of course, I will wrap this up with you guys after the show, so enjoy the episode. I sure as hell did. Without any further ado, Mr. Vikter Bang. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. We have Vikter Bang on the show today. Vikter, how you doing, man?
Pretty good. How about yourself, man?
Good, man. Every day above ground's a great day, and that's really what I believe. That's why I say it all the time. The listeners are like, all right, we get it. Every day above ground's a good day. That's fine. But I'm going to keep putting that message out there because that's my vibe, and that's what I go with. So, my friend, tell us just a little bit about yourself, and then we'll just get it going here, buddy.
All right, let's see. So I gave the short elevator version. So long story short, I'm just a guy that question a lot of stuff. I've always been a curious person. Normal guy, grew up in Pensacola, Florida, lived a normal life until I really started questioning a lot of things. 9/11 was really the first thing that really got me to wondering the real underpinnings of what's going on. So when I first saw that, it just didn't look normal. It didn't look real. Just something looked off. So I really started looking into that and kind of the background on that deal. And that really got me into looking into conspiracies and kind of what's going on behind the scenes. So I didn't stop with 9/11, and I started asking myself, okay, well, if there's a potential that this can happen and they can get away with it, then what else can there be? What other, if I was to focus my attention on helping on a level or exposing something, what would be the one thing that I could expose that would help? So I sought deeper and deeper, and then I realized that and it's not really a conspiracy, but it's just something that's hidden. The spiritual journey or the spiritual reality, I feel, is the key to it all. And so that's really what I started focusing on. I started looking at religions. I started looking at my own religion. I grew up in a strict Church of Christ background, so we didn't even have music in our church and everything. Started questioning that. Was baptized 3 times. I really wanted to have an experience. So the thing about me is I wanted to have my own experience. I didn't want to be told something from someone else, that could have the same experience I could. If someone said God can talk to them, well, okay, well, what did you do? So I can hear it as well. So as I started looking deeper and deeper into these things, I said, okay, well, you know what? I'm just going to start from scratch. I'm going to experiment with my own consciousness. I'm going to see what I can prove to myself. What can I experience myself if I didn't know anything? So I started from scratch. So I started from basically being an atheist. I had to prove that there was even a God out there. And then I said, okay, well, what is the one thing that none of us can claim ownership of, that if there was a God, that would be proof of? So then I said, well, nature would be the one thing. So I started looking at nature and really started looking at the intelligence behind that. And when you really start digging into that, you can see that there is an underlying intelligence. It's the odds of this happening by chance are ridiculously low. So then when you say it's a possibility that there is a creative force and there is intelligence behind this, then the next question was, well, what's my relationship to it? And that's really the spiritual journey, your relationship to that. And it got to the point for me where intellectually it made a lot of sense. And I changed my diet. I was doing meditation. I was doing a lot of different things just to really clear the old me and make room for this new awareness. And the major light switch happened to me when I was in the Everglades. I used to go in the Everglades and walk around out there during the day. And it was broad daylight, and I had what you would call an out-of-body experience. I was looking up at a cloud and just imagining being up inside the cloud or looking down at the cloud. And then in an instant, I felt myself looking down at that cloud. And in that instant, I was thinking to myself, well, how can I see without eyes? How am I thinking without, a brain, and is this me, right? Is something playing tricks on me? And then at that point, it was like I was snapped back into my body. And then from that point on, it was like I saw through the illusion. And it was the only way to kind of explain it is like awakening from a dream. It was like, oh, this is what they're talking about. And during my journey, I listened a lot to a guy named Anthony DeMeo. And he was a Jesuit priest. And he did a lot of lectures and videos talking about awakening. And he talked about it in a very pragmatic way and didn't get into any specific rituals or any specific religions or ways to do it or to come about it. It was really more a path of reduction. When you remove all of the things that you think you are, that's what's left. So that's kind of the path that I chose. And I like the way that he spoke and the way that he talked. And he was pretty brave to talk about the things that he talked about inside the Catholic Church. Actually, after he passed away, they kind of renounced some of his teaching because he didn't put Jesus on a pedestal. Well, this is, after he passed, because during the time, he was a pretty popular guy. So I always thought that it was something that I could attain, and just my engineering brain just wanted to see what was that process. And then when it did happen, I had the intellectual side down. Then when I had the experience, it was like, well, this is the good news. And then it really got me to thinking, well, why isn't this common knowledge? Why isn't this something that, isn't hidden from us? And this is something that we know from the jump. How would this change the world if we knew that we were spiritual beings having a human experience? And so I sought to, one, document my experience, as scientifically as I could, and put that information out there, and really just to see where this would take me if I just continued that path. And that was over 6 years ago, and here we are now.
Man. So what's the documenting of your path been like? So the Truman Show is what you're talking about, right? True Man.
Yeah. So before that, so I've always had a camcorder in my hand. So since I was 11, my family, they had a camcorder and they didn't know how to work this thing, so they just gave it to me, and we started filming videos, and most of it was home movies and stuff like that. We'd film videos and just kind of edit them and laugh at ourselves, and that was kind of what we were doing, like little skits and stuff like that. So I've always had a camera in my hand and recorded stuff, and so I've got footage of me from since 11. And it really didn't take a turn until I really started the spiritual journey. And then I started, well, let me document this. Let me really talk about my experience while it's happening, while it's fresh, and kind of capture that, even if no one's watching, for my own record, so that I can look back and just kind of remember those things. So I've been doing that. And the Truman Show is just the idea of a reality show where this is pretty much being taken on the road, and also talking to other people that have had these experiences. Because as I've traveled and as I've went around, and I spent some time in between jobs, just kind of observing the matrix, if you will, and just kind of just seeing with my own eyes what was going on and talking to people. And it surprised me how many people in different pockets are having these same experiences, but just are not speaking about it because they're afraid of ridicule and being ostracized and all of these things. And I've experienced all those things myself, and I'm still talking. But the idea is to really show those people that, for one, they're not alone, they're not crazy. What they're talking about makes sense, and they're really ahead of the curve from a normal standpoint, and it's okay. And part of that as well is to really, and we talk about it all the time, we need to get together, we need to unify, but to really do that, to really put in the effort to do that, I want to be a part of that. And that's part of what I'm attempting to show, is what that looks like, at least on one level. And I think we have the numbers now. I think there's enough people awakening now. It's just the different pockets. And if we can really combine those voices and amplify them, then I think we can really get this into the mainstream, to kind of show the people that there's some legs to it. And then they can do their own work and have their own experience. Because it's not about what I say or what anyone else is saying. It's about having your own experience. And my whole thing is just showing that it's possible. I know there's only so much that I can prove, and I know at the end of the day, I'm just someone talking. But the thing is it possible? And if it's possible, then it's up to you and the individual to kind of do their own work, to have their own experience and prove it to themselves.
Beautiful. And I think what you're doing with the movement is incredible, because yes, there are folks like us out here. We are having a great consciousness shift, is what is really occurring here on the planet. And it's planet wide, but especially in your geographical location, you can tell things are different. People are fed up with it. People are searching for answers, and they're tired of the old institutions filling the void that they were told was there. And we all have that feeling. We all have that void. But when you do really look at it, and because there's a lot of miserable people that are religious. There are a lot of miserable people that feel like, and you can tell too when you talk to them, man. I know several, I've got them in my family. You can tell when you talk to them, it's a script. There's no idea or thought behind it. It is just this rattled off, pounded into their mind. Don't think about it. And that's actually in the Bible. You can't question Christianity at all, or you're out of it. You're done. And anything like that. And I've had some big issues about religion, and I'd like to talk to you a little bit about that, because I was same thing. We did have music and stuff in my church, but it was damn near the same thing that what you went through. So with religion specifically, and the difference is that religion and spirituality are separate in the fact that there's no real rules to spirituality, and the fact that we don't believe in a God that would create free will and then punish you for eternity for using it. It's usually, and especially with a myriad of factors that are out of your hands. Like, there's so many things that happen on a day-to-day basis that could, if you follow the words literally, damn you to hell without you even being able to do anything about it. And not to mention the fact that it all really depends on luck. It depends on where you were born and what God you were born into. It's like, well, so my mom decided to squirt me out here, so therefore this is the God. But if he squirted you out in the Amazon, then those people are okay because they never heard about God. But it's a weird dichotomy, man, and I don't think it's supposed to make sense. I think it's supposed to be controlling. And I think that what religion has done, and I'm not bashing people who are religious. What I'm saying is the institution itself is very limiting, and it tells the people involved in it that you have to go through somebody else because you can't do it on your own. And that's one of the main issues I've got with it. The other main issue I've got with it is the fact that it's all wrapped up in interpretation. And it's if it was your eternal soul, right? And I've said this before, but if it's your eternal soul we're talking about here, then it wouldn't be left up to question. It wouldn't be left up to interpretation, and it wouldn't be left up to you needing to find it out from somebody else. A big issue I've always had was that it wasn't an innate quality. Curiosity about the afterlife and what God is an innate quality, but no firm, true answers that they provide are what I get whenever I look into that void or whenever I ask myself that question. So what was it like for you to come to your realization with your spiritual awakening? And then what was the next thing? Was it easy to come to, and then you just birthed into this process after atheism as well? So what was that like for you?
It was a process. So when I decided to start over, I looked at different religions. So I even there was a phase where I was talking to one of my friends who was a Muslim, and this is just seeing the different teachings in different religions, and then that's when I decided to just leave it all and just start from scratch. So just prove to me that this God exists. And as I just progressed on, just looking at it from a scientific standpoint, I try to be practical. I try to be logical. I try to use as much common sense as possible, and I harp on experience. So that way, no one else can program you or pull the wool over your eyes. Something you can experience yourself, and it needs to make sense to yourself, and not something that you can just swallow as a belief from someone else who may not have an experience themselves. Because a lot of that is just parroted stuff. Because when you get ordained, you're just ordained in a belief system. So it's not like you have any realization yourself. You just know exactly what to continue to spit off to the next person. But as I was gaining more awareness and even looking back at the scriptures, like I pick on Christianity just because I have the most experience with it, and Jesus as a character just because I know more of him than in the other religions. But if you really look at what he says in the Bible, I know that there's interpretations and there's a story of how we got the books that we got and all of this stuff. But if you look at the main crux of what he's talking about, the kingdom of heaven and being within and those kind of things, it's really talking about the same thing. So I try not to throw the baby out with the bathwater, but a lot of religious people just get caught up on that specific. And a lot of it too is putting someone on a pedestal when even they said the things that I can do, you can do them better. But most people don't want to hear that because there's a responsibility. And also the way they portray Jesus is, well, who wants to be Jesus when you're going to get hung and crucified and go through all those things? And part of the spiritual journey for me was kind of experiencing some of that, even from my own family who were quote unquote Christians.
Oh yeah.
A lot of them still believe I'm lost and going to hell. And I can have a conversation with them with the Bible. I probably know more about the Bible than they do, but they're not even open to considering the possibility, and they don't even see that it's limiting them. They don't even see that the freedom that I have, knowing hell doesn't exist, is something that they could experience as well. And it's sad, but it is what it is. And it's. And I'm here in the Bible Belt, so I'm in Tennessee now. So a lot of
Texas. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get
so,
it.
Yeah, so it's here too, and we got our work cut out for us, but I don't think it's impossible, but it's a hole to get out of.
Something that I've realized recently is, and it pertained to conspiracy theories, and I'd like to kind of talk to you about this as well. But I got to the point to where if you follow the logic, and this is just the idea of it, that if we're all God experiencing it self-subjectively, or as Bill Hicks said, it's just a ride, right? Then the logic follows that nothing is separate. And I love, we had talked about that separatism is an illusion. And then, so if nothing's separate, we're all one, experiencing it self-subjectively, people are just out here having the experiences they want. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, the part I think that a lot of people have the biggest issue with is the fact that there's no cosmic justice, because you wouldn't punish yourself because you're everything. And
right.
that's an issue for a lot of people. They want to feel, And I know that vengeance and revenge and avenging people and stuff like that, that's a human quality that we put onto God. And that's a human thing that has been written into the books, and you can tell that that's not, like, I don't feel like that. I don't, spite people, and I like that old saying that having a grudge is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. It's like, it's not up to you, man. And the point that I came at, and the point I'm trying to make with this is that when conspiracy theories in particular, because I've been looking into those for years, I got to this realization, especially with the one that we're currently balls deep in right now, that I did go through that. I got to wake everybody up. I got to tell them their true power, what kind of spiritual beings they are. And it got to a point, man, where it was fucking with me, man. It was fucking with my disposition and really lowering my vibration to a level that I don't like. I don't resonate in that frequency. I resonate higher than that, not better than, just on a different station, right? Nobody's better than anybody else. But it came to that point to where it was really, really frustrating. And so I had a release moment. I had dude, just let it go, man. There's a guy named Gordon White who was on the Higher Side Chats podcast, and he said, your reaction to the crisis is part of the crisis, right? They plan on people, a certain sect of the population, believing everything that they say, and that happens. Then they plan on guys like me and you losing their damn minds and going, no, I got to wake everybody up. Look at this video. Look, this is what's going on. I mean, you can see it right here with your own eyes. Those people don't want to be woken up. And the same with spirituality, though. I think that I've personally come to the point to where you just live your best life. You tend the garden you got. When people ask, why do you say every day above ground's a great day? Because I really mean it. Aren't you, scared that what you believe in is going to send you to some awful place? No, I'm not. I think that heaven and hell are created right here on earth, and you can choose to do that, and that can happen in a moment, and it's a frequency that you vibrate with. So if that's the case, and that logic follows, then the responsibility and earnest on us, let's say, to wake people up, the way that I feel that we do that is just live your best life, man. Just always be great to everybody. And at the end of every show, I always say, like, pick up a piece of litter, buy somebody a meal, get out of the left-hand lane. That's a big one. And then just be good to each other, right? That's it. Just be good to each other and tend the garden you got. And once you get to that point, I think that is being very spiritually enlightened. Plus, it doesn't allow you to vibrate at a lower frequency and taint your vibe because of somebody else's inability to wake themselves up. Or honestly, I'll say they don't have the desire to. They just don't. They're happy with what they've got. And then as us all being God, experiencing God itself and choosing different things, it's a beautiful thing. Mm-hmm. It can appear damaging, or it can appear dreadful, but I would say that at the point that and it's a real recent thing, so I'm still kind of grappling with how to articulate it, but it's a pretty damn freeing thing that I've come to. So what was the point to where, in conspiracy theory wise, that you were just like, after 9/11, what was on your radar there? I know that one is a big one, and that's a tricky one to talk about, but we can if you'd like. And then as well, I'm just curious to see what happened with you after that. What was the next one, and where did your mind go after you felt the way that you did about that?
Yeah, so for me, Building 7 was and still is the smoking gun to me. And it's tough to have the conversation, because it's difficult for people to imagine that there are people that would actually want to do that, and have the ability to do that. And so when I saw that was definitely possible, and these people are out here and potentially still out here, and who knows what else they're doing. They could be involved in what we got going on here now. And I saw the reaction of people. You got architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth. They just did a study I was talking about not too long ago with a friend of mine with the University of Alaska Fairbanks. They did a study so they have a university backing them, where they actually did scientific models showing that, and they concluded that building 7 didn't fall from small pockets of fire. So they simulated what it would be like if there was small pockets of fire in the actual simulation. So, and they concluded that, but you probably won't hear that on the news or anything like that. But part of that kind of let me know that you can have all of the logic and reasoning, and you can only get so far. Just like when you mentioned, like, waking someone up, like, I thought that my family me being the guy that graduated from college, the smart one in the family and all of that. When I had my experience, I wanted to share it with them, but they didn't want to hear anything like that. Actually ostracized me. And just like you, I had to come to grips with that. And it's sad that you have to separate yourself but it is what it is, as far as if you want to value your own vibration and your own environment, really, and not let anything bring you down, especially, and it's their own choice. That's what I realized too. Like I can't wake anyone up. It's something that they have to do themselves. So all you can really do, like you say, is just be an example of that and show that. But so the same logic I apply to the conspiracy theories. And when I never wanted to be the one to talk about those things specifically, even though I do mention them, but that's why I focused on the spiritual aspect of it. Because as I went down the line and say, okay, well, you got 9/11, for instance, and then I looked at the health, the health industry, the medical industry, all of those things. So all of these things that are not conducive to health, wellness, higher consciousness, and all of these things. So the thing that I wanted to focus on was the personal responsibility. What can we do as individuals to help ourselves in this and really take the blinders off so we can make smarter decisions in this reality with all of these inputs that are not necessarily for our best interest. And that's why I kind of focused on the spiritual aspect, because that's something that, again, we can all experience ourselves. And you don't need any guru or anybody else to allow you to have that experience. But in doing that, I still had to come to grips with only being able to take it so far. I can speak about truth, logic, and possibility only to a certain point, but it's just like one example I would use is eat your own mango. Like I can write a book or a volume of books on how a mango tastes, but until you bite one yourself, you will never know, and you can read all the books about how a mango would taste, but you have no awareness or no experience of it until you actually taste it yourself. And I can't force it into anybody's mouth. But that's kind of the path that I took to this point. And I don't really touch on conspiracies too much, and I've purposely tried to stay away from them because I saw how they were using those type of topics to take people away from social media and posts and all of that stuff. And I wanted what I was doing to have some longevity. So I just tried to walk that fine line and not really touch on too many hot buttons, because that's an easy target for them to take you off and take all of your content out. And I just wanted what I wanted to talk about being what I thought was the key to be able to last for a while and hopefully be there and be a time capsule for the time that people do want to question or see a little bit more. And my whole intent was just to help someone along their journey and kind of help them out with the things that I bumped my head on, or the things that I had to learn through, so that it maybe can help them out, just like as other people help me out, So just wanted to kind of pass that along and leave that there as part of the record, as I do decide to maybe one day be quiet as well and just go off and do something else. At least I can, at the juncture while I'm talking, I'm recording it as well. So then when I do shut up, it's still there.
Yeah. I love that, man. I think you've taken a great perspective with it, and I agree with you. I don't do the hot button things anymore. I'll talk about the Mandela Effect, Project Bluebeam. If you want to talk about the Earth being hollow, that's great. But as well, excuse me. Again, it's real allergy-y here in Texas right now. So again, though, I'm with you. I really do think that the path that you've chosen and what you've chosen to focus on is absolutely right there. And I've kind of come to that conclusion with you, damn near at the same time, probably. But I think that being there and being something motivating rather than something where they're pointing out, but I think that has value too. So you've got, podcasts and videos and things like that of people that would be a great resource for folks to go to if they really want to learn the truth. That stuff's still out there. I agree with it. And God bless them for taking that on, because it's a heavy responsibility, because it drives you nuts. I mean, and it gets you to this point to where, of course, there's fucked up shit going on. Of course, 9/11 isn't what they told you it was, especially Building 7. they reported it 30 minutes earlier in the UK with it in the background before it even happened. So it's orchestrated. But once you realize that, you can realize that even realizing that lowers you to that frequency that they want you operating in, that frequency of fear. Now, you might not be afraid of the terrorists or whatever, but you're afraid of your own government that can do that. And you're afraid that other people are falling for it. And therefore, a bunch of control systems will be implemented, which they did. But, it is like you said, and I think you're absolutely right about the way that you approach things, the way that on social media, especially until spiritualism becomes, an issue. Let's keep moving forward here, man. I love your approach.
Yeah, and what you said, I just want to piggyback on that too, is I didn't want to participate in the propagation of the fear because, I post videos on TikTok and I'm playing with the algorithm just to kind of see which ones get more views and all of that stuff. And the ones where, and it's not even propagating the fear, but really just outlining the current situation, like in my job, I do, what they call Lean or Six Sigma, problem solving methodology. A lot of businesses use it. And one of the first things you do is you clearly define the problem. They call it defining the current situation. So you really try to detail as much as you can what the problem is. And then that helps you define a solution. So I did a video about defining the current situation. And some of the comments were that, it was like, propagating fear, but it's not propagating fear. It's really just defining this is what's going on, But but I'm with you. I didn't want to participate in being part of that. I wanted to be more involved with the solutions and what can we do to get out of this predicament.
Yes, absolutely. And for some people's solution, that's where they need to go. But for me and you, we're not a resource for that. Like, I can talk about it if you'd like me to, but I don't want to focus on that. And it's funny too, because the last I think 5 or 6 shows have been all spiritually based, higher consciousness based. And it's been amazing. Like they've been some of my favorite shows. But like I said, there is a resource for that out there. You guys go nuts and go find that. But if you want to be hope and part of the solution, check Vikter Bang out. He's great. And to that point, I'm going to link everything in the bottom of the show notes down here so people can just click right on and go find you. So let me ask you this, though. So what is your favorite part about the realization that with the spiritual beliefs that you've got?
So it's, to me, coming up thinking that we were created as sinners, that we were that you had to do something to get God's love, that God was jealous, all of these human traits that we put on this loving force that's out there. It's freeing to know that there's no judgment that's going to be waiting on you. It's freeing to know that you don't die, your spirit doesn't die. You just, your vehicle, your body is just energy and that changes form, but the consciousness animating this doesn't die. So those type of things, to actually realize that and know that you look at life differently. It gives you a different perspective on life. It opens things up. Part of the thing that I used to get frustrated with, because it was so freeing and so good, I wanted other people that I love to experience it too, and I just couldn't get them to do it. And that's the bittersweet part of it, because I can be in the same room with people that don't have the same realization, and they're afraid of all of these imaginary things that are holding them down. They don't even really see it, and they don't really see the beauty that's in front of them and the beauty that they have in themselves. But that was the most amazing thing, is to really understand that for myself. And it's different when you hear other people talk about it, but when you have your own experience of it and you really see that it's true, then it opens up everything.
Yeah. Okay, then what is the most challenging part about spirituality to you?
This reality is it's balance for me, and I try to walk that line, because in my day-to-day, like I rarely am able to have these conversations. So I enjoy being able to talk about this.
I got you. You welcome anytime. Come on.
Because my day-to-day, it's pretty robotic. It's just the everyday stuff, and there's no growth. And part of the thing that kind of gets me is I'm not a person that likes untapped potential. If something can be at a certain level, I try to bring it to that level, at least the best that I can. And within myself, that's kind of what drives me. If there's something I can do or something I can be better, then I try to do that as well to the best of my ability. And also in this reality, when I look at the world and with the world, all of these rules are man-made rules. So when you have everything given to you, and this is how we choose to divide it and how we choose to govern ourselves, when there's a million other better ways that we can do it. It's something that I understand the intent of it. I understand the dynamics of it and how it's based on each person's individual journey, and there's the collective as well. But then I see the potential, and it's just like the one thing that I've always had to tell myself is patience as well. And a lot of people, whether I know it or whether I see it or not, are really doing the best that they can with their level of awareness. And you just got to be patient with them as well. Sometimes they're doing the best they can, even though they can do better, but that's just the limit that they are now, in their own mind. They're still limited in themselves, but that's the best they can do at this point.
That's it, man. And I figured out a while back that, and I can tell you this right now, your goal is the same as mine. We are here to give people back to themselves. And that has been a massive part of why I started this show, why I talk to people the way that I do on a daily basis, because I'm like you. You said it perfectly, and it's funny, too, because I've actually mentioned it on shows that haven't come out yet, exactly what you just said. It does feel like that it's challenging to have these conversations, but now we've got this. And what I like about this and how we found each other, man, is that I follow the synchronicities, man. And how we found each other was a post of yours popped up on Instagram. Now, the interesting thing about me saying that I find people on Instagram, I'm not on it that much. I do a little bit of posting in the morning to kind of stay current and whatever, and to throw some love out to everybody, and then announce new guests and new shows that are coming out. But I don't sit there and obsess over it and scroll. So the fact that I find anybody on there new and interesting to talk to is pretty cool. And so I just liked your shit, man. I checked you out. I messaged you. We talked on the phone, and now here we are. And I like this process, and I think that these conversations find a way to have themselves with people no matter what the distance is, because we don't have to really worry about that anymore. You and I are sitting here having a great conversation, and now you're not alone. Now you don't feel stuck in a place where you can't, communicate these ideas to anybody. Like I said, brother, you got my number, man. Call me anytime. You can just call me up, say what's up. So, like I said, I will be linking in your show notes to how I found you, which is your Instagram, as well as your TikTok. I didn't know that you were on that. The wife finally convinced me to get on it, and so I did. And it's pretty cool. Like you said, the algorithms, it's interesting. I found some really interesting manifestation hacks on there, and we could talk about that a little bit if you're into that. But I think that what's interesting as well about your perspective is you say a lot of things that I've thought but haven't said about, like, the untapped potential. I think that that's brilliant. And it's the stuff that you were saying as you were saying it that I'm like, yeah, that I've actually changed mine now. That is mine. And this is what these kind of conversations do. They allow us to swap ideas. They allow us to gain clarity, because that's what it's all about, right? Clarity over agreement. I just want to be clear with you. We don't have to agree, and I still love you either way. Right. So, but like you, I don't get to have these conversations with my parents. They definitely aren't into this shit. But it is nice to find, and I've been calling it lately a soul tribe. We're like a soul tribe that find each other. And then we're just these little beacons of our ideas out there, and then we can connect and then kind of assimilate and spread those out. So what in your mind is the fuck going on here? Like, what are we doing here? What's going on? What's it all about, man?
It's
for a softball. I just lobbed up a softball question for you. Just tell me the whole reason, for life. What's up?
Yeah. Well, to me, it's the what if game. It's the so we're all the same thing experiencing its own creation, and we've chosen to do it this way without knowledge of it and coming through what you can call the veil of forgetfulness, so that we would not know that coming off, we can grow into that awareness, but to really see what we would do. And in our family, there's the saying of what you're going to do. And I even did a little short skit about that. But it's supposed to be funny because they all would, it would be one weekend where they're going to go out to eat. And the question is, well, where are we going to eat? And there would be all of this discussions about this stuff and all of this, all of these different conversations about what the one place is we're going to eat. And everybody had their own different opinions and all that stuff, but it boils down to what you're going to do. And that was a saying that we had in our family. But I think that's what this is. It's a rod of free will that it does, but it doesn't have to be like this though. And that's the balance of it. It's because we can do anything that we want to in here, but the fact that we choose to do it this particular way is the part that is unsettling to me, especially when there's a million other ways to do it. But from my perspective, it's like I looked at it this way as well. We've separated ourselves so we can interact with ourselves. Now, the way we interact with ourselves is up to us, and we've done that unknowingly. So we would have the experience of meeting each other for the first time, even though on a level we already know each other and have been, known each other. So it's to really have that surprise, if you will, because when you're one with everything, you can't be surprised. You can't hug yourself. You can't introduce yourself to yourself, but in this experience, you get to experience all of that as if it's a new thing. I just don't like that we get stuck in this particular mode of it, but I think that's the basics of it. I really don't try to look into too much more, because then you get into the speculation of it as far as what is the purpose and what is the meaning, because that's subjective. We give the purpose and meaning to it, but the experience is the part of it. For us to experience ourselves.
Completely agree. And you are welcome to speculate wildly on this show. I just had a guy who wrote a book about that UFOs are future humans coming back in time machines. I love this shit. We can talk about all kinds of cool stuff, man. So I love your perspective on it, and it's very warm. It's very comforting, because this is it, man. And you're a great ambassador for this. You're not, and God bless Alex Jones, but you're not screaming that it's turning the frogs gay and stuff. You're very comfortable with the idea, and it comes across, which is very refreshing, man. It's awesome. And I just love that we met, brother. You're, like I said, Soul Tribe. You're in it. I knew it the second we talked. And I agree with you. Now, what I think is interesting too is that going with the model that we are all God experiencing itself subjectively to know itself, right? And I want to subscribe to that as well. I've got ideas, not beliefs. Ideas are easier to change. But if I had to pick one, that would be the model that I would go with. Because even then, it's the act of pure love, which is what God operates on. Not conditional, not, well, you wore that dress on this day, or you don't eat, something. It's not this limiting ideology, which I think that's part of the experience. And so a couple of points I wanted to make on here was if we are that, if it is God experiencing itself subjectively, and there's an infinite number of realities, an infinite number of possibilities, the good news, and maybe a really comfortable one, is there's a version of you out there that's living one of those million other ways, and actually all of those million other ways to do it. Now, the other comforting part is, if that's the case and you can follow that out, then you chose to be here, right? And you know that because you are here. So what's going on right now, and with the feeling, not of frustration, just maybe about bewilderment that we've chosen that this is the world that we want to live in, that's the feeling that you wanted to have. And you wanted to have the interaction of things kind of being, pretty dicked up around here, and then following that to where it goes. Now, the other part to that would be that, what do you think about the simulation theory? Because it doesn't necessarily mean that there's not a God, and it may explain some of the crazy, weird shit that goes on. That basically it's just a big game, or you're like that you are an alien or something playing a video game. You put a headset on, and then the reality that we're all living right now is what's being played, not necessarily what's true.
Yeah. So my thoughts on simulation. So my current belief or current thoughts on this reality is that it's a holographic reality. Now, and you can say it's a simulation as well. That it works both ways. I don't subscribe to this being on a hard drive somewhere, or that it's actually a computer program or anything like that. I think that it's a holographic reality where what you said could definitely be possible. We can be remote controlling these beings here, And I want to go back on something you mentioned as well with the parallel realities. I subscribe to that as well. In an infinite multiverse, there's multiple versions of you living out their lives and different things. And I've experimented with gaining information from those other versions of yourself,
Okay.
and getting insight from them as well. And intuition, and synchronicity, and that could even go to deja vu as well, playing with the multiple reality deal. But I think part of the reason why we're in this one, or why, we exist in all of them, but our consciousness is focused in this one now, is because I think this one is one of the major nodes that affects the other ones. Whether it's and we can go into the time travel deal, whether
Sure.
this is the reality where we have the opportunity to correct the mistakes that maybe another reality did with artificial intelligence and all of these things. So we had to come back to a time before the singularity, or before it got out of hand, where we can maybe correct some things. That's to be determined. But I do think that this reality is worth our attention as the beings that we are. So we're not here on accident. And I think the work that we're doing, even though this is something I realized recently, because I'm one of the ones that I want to see it. I want to, I want to see the effects of it now. I want to see the fruit now. But then I started to think about the butterfly effect, and we don't know what this conversation or what your life and my life can do. We may not be able to see it on one level, but just like the butterfly effect, the butterfly on this side creates the storm on the other side. So maybe just our intent and our will is creating something different, and changing it. Even if it isn't in this one, maybe it's changing it in another one, and maybe when we leave this one, we get to experience the fruit of the labor that we're doing here now. So I kind of play with those ideas as well.
Hell yeah. I love that, man. Because yes, then it goes really, really, really deep, right? Because if you were to leave, like, let's say when you walk out of your house in the morning and you're like, okay, I'm ready to go, I'm ready to do my thing. And then you go, oh shit, I forgot my wallet. And you turn back around and you go get your wallet. Well, there's an infinite number of things that are why you did that. Maybe you did that to avoid a horrible wreck, or maybe your timing on that was helping somebody else on a manifestation that they were working on, which helped somebody else, which helped something else. Even that act, and it seems inconsequential, but I don't think any of it's inconsequential. I think all of it has a purpose. All of it has, even the shittiest things here on the planet, the things that we really wish didn't exist, then those are the types of things that really kind of motivate you to be better. It's because we do live in a dualistic reality, right? Whatever this is, it's dualistic in nature. You've got to know hot to know cold, dark to know light, the yin yang. You've got this kind of paradox, or this dichotomy existing in the same place at the same time. But it's also part of the game. It's part of the ride, It's part of realizing that there's beauty in the differences, and that it doesn't have to be something that people hate on each other for, or like I'll crap on my friends for liking a certain thing. I've got a buddy of mine who loves Metallica's Load album, and I call him a doofus every time we talk about it. I'm like, come on, dude, you have a shit taste in music. And I don't mind Load. It's just a way to kind of pick on him, and he knows that, and we have a good time with it. But it seems like that all of it's necessary, and all of it has purpose, and all of it, and so therefore it's almost a comforting element to it, where you can sit back and you can say, yeah, that happened, and I didn't maybe choose that consciously to happen, but I know that for some reason, whether it's seen by you or not, for some reason that happened, and it was meant to happen. And to the time part of it, I like the concept that time is like, I heard the comparison that they're like stacked like records, right? And so time, each moment in time is existing at some level all the time, right? So time's only linear from our perspective because it's built into the mechanism for us to have the experience that we're having. And so I love it. So what are your thoughts on time travel? Do you think us as human beings will ever be able to achieve it technologically? Because you've got an engineering background. What do you think?
From a technological standpoint, I definitely think it's possible. I think we're time travelers consciously now. Especially when you talk about your consciousness being outside of time. Like one of the TikTok videos I put on was, I posed a question: did your consciousness age? Your consciousness watched you take your first step, as a baby and go through puberty, adolescence, whatever, and to the point now. So your consciousness experienced age, your consciousness gained experience, but did your consciousness age?
Damn.
So your consciousness didn't age. The same consciousness looking out of these eyes now is the same ones that couldn't talk as a baby, years and years ago. Didn't age one day, one bit. It experienced age, yeah. It gained knowledge and awareness. All of that stuff. But so we're, I believe in conscious time travel now. I think that's part of what we're doing now. But physical time travel, yeah, and that would be cool. That would be cool. I would love to go back and actually see some of the actual events that happened and really see how that compares to what we were told. Especially with the way history is jumbled up now, but to actually see in these characters, like one of the ones that would be cool is Jesus, like to actually see, because I don't put Jesus on a pedestal. If he did exist, he was just a regular guy. You can even look at some of the background and his teachings, being in the scene, and even potentially coming up with some of the teachings from the Egyptian mystery schools. That's where the whole man know thyself, all of that stuff. So these are just regular people, just like Buddha. I did a video on Buddha. He was just a regular person, not a god, just a regular person, who just awakened. So these are just regular people, and we tend to deify them because, for one, we don't. It has to do with our own self-esteem, not thinking that we're good enough and all that stuff. And then there's a control aspect as well, because if I become the spokesperson for this guy, then I can control you here. But when you really look at these people, they were just regular people. So it'll be cool to kind of see them and really see the environment that they were going in, because some of the same stuff's happening now. You look at Jesus' story. He was a guy that was going against the state and a corrupt religion. And you got the people now that say they love Jesus, but are definitely in the same religion or worshiping idols and all of this stuff that they were doing back then. So they're kind of repeating the same thing. And Jesus came back here today, he'd probably be treated the same way that they treated him then,
Yeah.
But from a technical standpoint, yeah, I do think time travel is possible, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're here now. It seems like this time is a node for a lot of different things. I think with the UFO activity, with the awakening that's going on here, there's a lot of things that are going on in this reality, and it's just like just a pressure cooker of all these things. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're here now.
I love it, and I'm agreeing with you now. What about a far out concept to where I agree with you that the consciousness doesn't age and that's what's viewing us, kind of like it's watching a movie of itself, enjoying itself, right? If sticking with that idea, what if there's a marry between technology and the blending of or tapping into source energy and our consciousness? Maybe that's how we do it. It's almost like a teleportation of sense where you don't physically go anywhere, right? Because that's pretty daunting from a perspective now technologically. But what if your consciousness is able to shift into other realities or other times or you in the past or something like that? More of a science fiction type of an idea, but I would say theoretically, if you're able to tap into that pure source energy from this perspective, then that wouldn't be that big of a stretch, right?
Yeah, no, not at all. I actually think part of the Mandela effect is us doing that on a collective level. I think this reality is fluid, and there's individual nodes on the screen, and once enough pixels on the screen change, then the screen changes. So as that screen changes, something that was on this particular screen is different on this screen, and we call it a Mandela effect because enough of us have changed our nodes from off to on to switch the whole screen. So I think as a collective, we're kind of cycling through these things, and maybe it's like a game of Plinko where we're just trying to get down to the one main one.
Oh, yeah.
But I can see that though.
Do you want to hear a fun one about the Mandela effect that I heard recently? It's that when CERN, right? So are you? So the core of it goes that CERN, when that kicked on, the Large Hadron Collider, right, and it smashed two particles, and then we all died, right? We shifted into a new dimension. But the one that I heard recently that I thought was a pretty fun thought experiment was that we all died and that we're all dead here, and that we keep continuously co-collectively creating our reality because we don't know that we're dead, right? Kind of like a shitload of ghosts out here just walking around, causing trouble, still kind of just eating mangoes, hanging out, and having these cool conversations because there's no awareness, right? I think it's a fun one, but there's a lot of flaws in it, especially with the way that we believe things, that we wouldn't let ourselves do that, right? We wouldn't let ourselves be that ignorant in death, because that is just a return from probably your perspective as well to source energy or whatever. So what if, though, that when we die, we don't immediately go back to source? What if this is just a level of experience and it's like a video? I'm going to just say video game because it's a real reductive way for us to kind of communicate about it. But what if whenever we die, we just go to the next level of a game to where that's another level? And then that person believes, is now surrounded by a world of possibilities and all kinds of stuff, and maybe levels up. Now you're in a different body. Maybe you're like a light being or like an octopus or something like that. And that's what reincarnation is. It's not necessarily coming back here to experience things in this plane. It could be, and that could be part of the possibilities, but it may be that you just keep leveling up or you just keep shifting levels. Not necessarily that there's I don't like putting hierarchy to these kinds of things because it's just experiential, right? And so whenever you say up or down, people want to associate that with good or bad or whatever. And I don't ever mean that. So I want to just be clear on that point. So these are the kind of things that are fun to talk about, man. I love shit like this. This is great.
Yeah. So I was listening to a book by Michael Newton and Journey of the Souls. And what he did was, have you heard of him?
I have not, but I love, just from the title, I love it already. I'm going to check this out.
Yeah, so he's a hypnotherapist that compiled a lot of data from regressions that he did on a lot of his patients. And he kind of stumbled onto it just by doing his traditional practice and ended up regressing someone to a life between lives. And he's got a couple books where he's talking about basically what happens after you die. And it's pretty wild stuff. It seems to be a whole, the movie, the animated movie Soul. I don't know if you saw that, the one Disney just came out with, came out with.
They're going to be so pissed off. I was told this a long time ago and I was like, I haven't made time for it. And I still haven't made time for it, but there's somebody out that I know very well that's going to be screaming at the radio or at YouTube from watching this video saying, I told you to watch that damn thing. So what about that is interesting, because I haven't seen it, and you're welcome to throw some spoilers out if you want.
No, I won't spoil it for you, but it had a lot of correlations. I don't know if they studied his work or anything, but it is to me, it's not a children's story, even though they kind of market it that way. It's a little higher brow than a child would comprehend. But in there they have multi-dimensional beings. They have souls that are incarnated. There was one soul as part of the story that didn't want to incarnate as a human because, I can't give you the exact reasons. But a lot of the plane that they were living on kind of mimics some of the stuff that Michael Newton was talking about in his book. So there were some correlations there. But he was describing interactive screens in the other plane, to where you can look at your future lives and past lives, and where like a screen where you can actually interact with your future life. And it was some wild stuff. And he was compiling this from a lot of different people's testimonies. So it just wasn't one person. So he was compiling them all. But it's interesting to think about the layer of complexity that's past this. And in my opinion, I think you don't necessarily have to go back to source. And in his hierarchy, if you will, there's levels as well. There's souls that specialize in working with the newly created souls. There's souls that deal with time. There's souls that deal with all kinds of things. And even those souls would say kind of like, that's above my pay grade. I'm not, so there's still growth that's going on. It's not like you just pop out of here and you're just there. So that was interesting. But I do think there's a layer of freedom. He also mentioned souls that after they pass away choose to kind of not linger around as ghosts, but go to maybe worlds that are less material or non-physical worlds. But there's some leeway. There's some play that you can do in between. So I kind of subscribe to that. Like, one of the things that I think that I'm experiencing, and I won't have proof of it, and so I'm out of here, is that I'm experiencing part of my soul that is basically time travel. Like I think synchronicity it has to do with that to a degree. Like one of the things I see all the time is 27. That's a number that's appeared in my reality many times. A lot of these things on this wall, this was supposed to be a green screen for videos, didn't turn out right. So I just started, using it to just capture stuff, and
It's
I put
great.
synchronicities, and just I thought of it almost like in the movies you see the bad guy or the cop trying to figure out and all that. So yeah, kind of that deal.
Yeah, it's got
But
that Charlie Day, like Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and then he's sitting there talking about the conspiracy theories and all the stuff taped up there. Yeah, it's real Citizen Kane like too. Yeah, I like it.
So, synchronicity, I see a lot of it. And I think part of it for me, it's almost like confirmation that you're on the right path, almost like a road sign, just saying, you're in the right direction. And also I look at it as information from your future self. Maybe the things that we're doing now are affecting ourselves in the future. So we're time traveling back and giving ourselves little hints so that it affects us on another level. Maybe we're creating Mandela effects for our future selves by doing what we're doing in this reality. So I kind of play with that idea as well.
Damn, I love that. Yes, and I've gotten into some different manifestation techniques as well, or just being able to open my mind to the possibilities of seeing these things and not passing it up. Because if you think about it, I could have just swiped up and just kept going on to something else and never found you, right? But I did find you. It was an acorn that dropped on the ground in front of me as a synchronicity. I checked it out. I said, man, I got to follow this. I got to see where it goes. And now we're having an amazing conversation. I think you're wonderful. You would definitely come back. And I've actually got a few other podcasters that I talked to that I'm going to recommend because you're a great guest, man. You're just a really cool guy, but you're a great guest too. So I love the synchronicity part of it. I like everything that we're talking about. I think that it's very important to have these kind of conversations. And back to the movie that you were talking about, I find it pretty comforting, even if it is a little bit above their head, but so is the concept of heaven and hell. Now, to me, and there's going to be people out here pissed off at me, but I'm fine with it. It seems like the concept of religion is pretty juvenile, and it's pretty easy to comprehend the way that they want you to, because there is a good and bad. There is a bad guy, good guy. There's a lot of anthropomorphization of human qualities on this deity and on this story. There's actually a pretty cool theory about the Bible I won't talk about on air, and we can discuss it, and then maybe if you want to do a future show on it, we can. But I think that it's awesome that those kind of movies are now coming out, and it seems to suit the Great Awakening as we're talking about. It seems to suit this shift in consciousness. And maybe some little kid's going to watch that and then start questioning their religion from an earlier age. And then, more and more of a generation like that grow up reading the books that we do and, listening to a show like this, and they can gain new ideas and not feel alone. Not be like, damn, man, there's somebody out there that can talk about this stuff. And it's very cool. I love this.
Yeah, when I saw that, to me it looked like they were, because it was that movie, and it was the movie they did before that, where they were. It was another Pixar movie. I can't think of the name of it, but there were voices in the person's head. There were different characters, and I think that was also a very well done movie. But this one, it's almost like they're trying to bypass the adults and kind of interject some ideas into the kids, because there was no mention of hell or anything like that. They mentioned the great beyond, which they didn't get into anything, but it had nothing to do with religion or anything like that. So in death, they were souls. So the guy died, in the movie, and he was still alive. So. And it was some cool concepts in there. So if a kid can pick that up and just see that being a possibility, I mean, that's a seed that's planted, I think.
Absolutely. I love that. I like the concept of it. And I think that that's brilliant that it's out there and that we're talking about it. So let me ask you this. If anything, what would you change about the world in which we live? Another softball. I'm just lobbing them up, man. These are easy questions.
It's really... I think if people have the awareness, they'll make better decisions. So the thing that I want to see is, if the information is out there, like I have no problem discussing this with anybody. We can get into I wouldn't say a debate, because to have a debate, you need to be able to understand both sides of the equation. So I can't debate someone who's a pure scientific, materialist, reductionist about spirituality. You have no no experience of spirituality. So you're ignorant of this, but you can learn about it. I mean, we're all ignorant of something. That's how we learn, but you can't debate on it. So the thing is, you really don't get too many people that want to debate on those things, especially if they don't know about them. So it's easier to just dismiss them as something that doesn't exist, but it does. And when you also look at the possibility, so let's say, and that's why I kind of want to look at possibility. Let's just say it's possible. Let's just look at it from a hypothetical standpoint. What would a world look like if this was true? What would change? So this is the world we're living in now, according to your laws, and this is what it is. But if this was possible, what would change? And to be able to show those things and to kind of to show the steps that we can take from here to there. And I think if people see these conversations, like one of the things I would like to do is talk to, I call them the gatekeepers. I'd rather talk to, I know a lot of people just follow people and they'll repeat what they're told, but I want to talk to the person that's actually, that's got the microphone, that's the head of the congregation. Let's have a conversation in front of your congregation. Let's discuss these things. Let's discuss the possibility, because it can either be right or it could be wrong. And you're really focusing on this, but what if it's wrong? Like I always reserve the fact that I could be wrong, just because I don't want to be closed-minded to new information. If you think you know it all, then that's it. You're capped right there. But one of the things I want to see, and I think it'll be a worthwhile exercise, is just to have these conversations more in the open with those people that are the gatekeepers, that people believe everything they say, because I think if people see that and then they see there's another possibility, and then they hear the argument from that side or the logic from that side or the possibility from that side, then that can open some things in their eyes and their minds, and then they'll be able to make better decisions. And I think that's really what it's going to boil down to. It's not about one person dictating you should do X, Y, Z. It's giving the people the tools to make better decisions themselves, because that's the lasting thing. It's the whole teach a person how to fish versus giving them a fish. So that's the exercise that I'm part of. The Truman Show is really trying to start that, to really kickstart that. And I think we could, if we get enough people to make enough noise, then they're going to have to address it. If you got 10,000 people saying, hey, as a united voice, we're spiritual beings having a human experience, and this, and that, and the other, then for the person that says they're not, they're going to have to address that. And then when the people that are seeing this conversation and they hear and see that, wait a minute, these guys make a whole lot of sense. And there's a white guy, black guy, Chinese guy, Indian guy, they're all from different places and have came to this same conclusion. And a lot of them have came from this belief system. And these are the things that they learn, and you're going to see, it's not anything that we'll have to do. You're going to see that person really try to hold on. You're going to see them actually trying to hold on to that belief system and not really want to grow themselves. And I think that's going to be seen. So I think the awareness of the conversation and really getting it out is going to be the key.
Yeah, I agree completely. And I do think that those kind of conversations are important, because even their own congregation with these folks, they're in an echo chamber of just reinforcing the same ideas constantly. Nobody just raises their hand and goes, well, what if hell didn't exist? Or why would God do that? And if God was all-knowing, all-loving, all-seeing, but he can also see through time and future and everything, number one, why would he create hell? Because he knew we'd be sinners. And some belief systems were born bad, and we have to prove that we're good under no pretenses of our own. And again, it's all got to do with luck. It's just, well, shit luck, kid. That's God's plan. We don't understand God's plan because we're just dum-dums. But the other part about it, too, is that if it is the way, and if that is the case, these kind of ideas, and I think God would love to hear these discussions, and I think he does love these, he or she or whatever it is, loves to have these discussions. The problem that you run into is a lot of people just want to be told what to do. Like you said at the beginning, man, it's hard, and it's not even that it's hard. It puts the responsibility on you to ask the right questions. That's the most challenging thing, because I've talked to a few folks, man, and I'm not shitting on anybody's religion, man. If that's what you want, from my belief system, we all go back to source. So believe whatever the fuck you want. Flying spaghetti monster, okay, cool. Just don't quit stoning people for stuff. Quit hanging people for believing something different or looking different than you. It's like, the fuck are we doing here? And
Right.
I think from that perspective though, and from the perspective you take, because I think that people have had these debates with different religious ideologies, and the challenge that you run into is the defensiveness and feeling like they need to defend their idea or their belief system. The real big problem with any belief system really is cognitive dissonance, because it won't allow you to look at new information and change your viewpoint on it. That's why, like Chris Rock in the movie Dogma. Have you ever seen that?
Mhm.
Okay, the Kevin Smith movie, and like Chris Rock says in there, I have ideas, not beliefs, because ideas are easier to change, and they are, and that seems like a good. That's where you are, man. I could be proven wrong tomorrow, and okay, let's take a look at it. I
Yeah.
It's the tit for tat stuff, and it's the I'm right and you're wrong, and I think it's more of just a divide and conquer tactic, to be honest with you. I think that it's, number one, a control mechanism, number two, a way of saying, well, you need to be upset at those people over there because they believe differently than you. And there are just so many flaws in the idea, but again, if it brings some communities together. Now the problem is the communities come together over an idea that's not even false, but sometimes dangerous, So that's the big issue. And people won't look at the fact that it divides everybody, and they don't even care most of the time. It's this, well, my team is this and your team is that, and we're better and you're worse. And it projects all this, I'm going to just say, nonsense on it, man. It just seems nonsensical, and it seems like a waste of time, to be honest with you. I think that we could be doing a lot more cool shit with our reality and creating some of these things that we would both like to see on this place. I think
Absolutely.
it's a big distraction from ultimate goals, and I think that there may be a conspiratorial reason behind it, or maybe those people just don't know any better.
Yeah, I think a lot of people too, they identify with their beliefs. They feel that when you are questioning their religion or their beliefs, that you're questioning them. Like they are their beliefs. There's family members that I know that are like that won't even entertain the being wrong, from other reasons of pride as well,
Which
but they
is a sin.
identify with their beliefs.
Which ironically is a sin.
Yeah, yeah, and just like you say, the division part of it is really what's really hurting us, because um, I look at the whole competition versus cooperation. The world we've built up to this point is based on competition, but everything that we see that's thriving pretty much is more cooperation. I mean, just look at I look at our bodies, for example. What if your body was in competition? Your right hand versus your left hand, right wing versus the left wing. The bird doesn't fly,
It's the same
the
bird.
whole politics, the whole political system. But your body is an example of cooperation. Your eyes are never going to taste, your tongue's never going to see, but they all do their part for the whole, and it works out, and we can have this experience. So
Yes, and that's actually, thank you for bringing that up, because that is a video that I saw that you did that I loved. I showed my wife, and she was like, "Oh my God, that's awesome!" So yes, that was a video you did on cooperation, and I love that. I think that is so cool. Again, guys, go check out his Instagram. This dude is awesome. Well, my friend, I just had a couple more fun little questions for you here, and then we'll probably wrap this session up. But I definitely want to have you back on if you'll have me. This was a lot of fun, man. You were
I
just
enjoy it. Yeah.
incredibly intelligent. You've got just such great insight, you're a sweetheart to boot, man. You got a big heart, and I love that. I think you're a great. If we had to have representatives for the movement, you're definitely living proof that this is a damn good way to go. It's a damn comforting thing to exist in. So, let's do a fun one, man. A genie bottle washes up on shore. 3 wishes. Can't wish for more wishes. That's cheating. What do you got?
3 wishes.
Any damn thing you want.
So these are my wishes?
Your wishes, my friend. You found the genie bottle. You get 3 wishes. Go for it.
Oh, that's a good one. Can't wish for more wishes. I probably want to freeze time. That would be a good wish.
Okay.
I don't know.
For how long?
Well, if you can freeze it, then
Oh, anytime.
yeah,
Like freeze time anytime you want it. Have
Yeah,
that ability for as long as you're alive.
yeah, just to be able to freeze time.
I've never heard that before. That's cool.
Yeah, I think that would be a cool one. So there's not much that I would want physically. But if I had a wish, I would probably ask for a lot of money. And the reason why is because one of the things that I like to experiment with is we have billionaires in this world now, and they've given us examples of uh, what they do. They pretty much just hoard money. So I would like to see what an example of a billionaire that spends more money than he hoards or she hoards. And and I have the idea that you would actually make more money by investing that in people and helping them fulfill their dreams and all of this stuff. And you can profit off that, and you'd have so much money it wouldn't even matter. Like, to me, it would get to the point to where money would be useless for all of us because we're all doing the things that we love and enjoy. But it just takes getting to that point. So
that's a great answer, man. That's a great answer. You're investing in people. You invest in the community.
Yeah.
Damn, that's a good answer. Okay, awesome. I want you to have a lot of money too, buddy, just for whatever the hell you want. If you want a Lamborghini, dope pair of sneaks, go for it. I just want you to have anything you want because I think you've earned it, Okay, third wish. What you got?
The third wish would just be it would really just be peace. Yeah, it would just be peace. Yeah. I mean, I'm not a materialistic person. I live a pretty simple life. Don't have many wants. The things that I'm passionate about don't have anything to do with materialistic stuff. It's really, I just want to be I want to serve on the highest level that I can while I'm here. And I know we live in a reality with money and all that stuff. So part of the phase that I'm looking at now is, okay, well, if I have to play this game, then I already have the rules on how I play it. I already have a system of, I'm using the 80-20 rule pretty much, to where just like the idea that I mentioned, being able to invest in people and kind of start a pyramid effect from the bottom up versus the top down.
Yeah.
And I think that would change a lot of things too. But yeah, it would probably be those three.
Very cool, man. Great answers, dude. Great answers. Okay. Okay, you got two superpowers. What do you want? I used to ask for one, but I found that I personally want two, so I felt like a hypocrite. So I'll give you two, man. Anything you want. Superpowers, go for it.
Fly and time travel.
Okay. Awesome.
If I can do those two, I think I'll be set.
Okay, I'm going to free one up for you. You can actually fly if you can time travel. If you think about it, time travel to 5 minutes ahead of you, and now you're flying, right? All right, so another one.
Okay.
You just gained another superpower, dude.
Probably invisibility.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think invisibility would be cool.
Interesting. Just anonymity. That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Victor, I cannot thank you enough for your time, man. I had a blast with you. Incredibly insightful. You got the gears working up here, and I always appreciate conversations like this and meeting wonderful new people like yourself. So I will be linking all this stuff in the show notes, but tell us about what you got coming up and how folks can find you, man.
Yeah. So if you're on any of the socials, I'm more active on TikTok and Instagram than I am on Facebook. Facebook, you'll see some of the older stuff, but all of those you can look at Vikter Bang, Vikter Bang, and the name stands for Victory Over Noise. And you can look at that, and you'll just see the story of just a regular guy that is just expanding his awareness and is trying to help other people do the same and trying to do it in a creative way and really just on a path to see where this ends. Part of my curiosity wants to see where my story ends. I'm in the middle of it now, and this life that I'm living now, if you would have told me I would have been here having these conversations 10 years ago, I wouldn't have believed you. 12 years ago, I wouldn't have believed you. So I definitely understand the universe has a bigger imagination than I do, and I think I got a pretty good imagination. So I've yielded to that, and now I'm just on the ride, just kind of seeing where it goes.
I love it. I absolutely love it, dude. You're one of my favorite people that I've ever talked to, man. So thank you so much for your time, man.
I enjoy this, man. I'm glad you clicked on it, man. So
me too. Just follow synchronicities. That's it. It's been the model for a lot of stuff I've been doing lately, and it didn't. And I'm grateful that I followed that model because it got us to meet each other, man. So, like I said, I'll link all that stuff in the show notes, man. Really looking forward to keeping up with you and your story, and you're part of our story now too. You're part of the Soul Tribe now, man. So you're not alone out there. You got a group. When you come around and do your documentary, man, come if you make it down to Texas, you got a place to stay, okay? And come hang out. Yeah. And then we'll do it in studio talk here. Okay, well, my friend, again, I cannot thank you enough for your time. Thank you so much, sir.
All right, appreciate it, Brandon. Been a pleasure.
A massive thanks to Vikter Bang for being on the show with me today. Absolutely incredible guy. All of the ways that you can find him are linked in the show notes. Please follow this young man. See where he goes. He's going massive places, and I want you all along for the ride. I sure as hell am. He's absolutely fantastic. So we will definitely have him back on, and I'll let y'all know, of course, when we do that. Again, big thanks to Vikter Bang for joining us today on the show for this outstanding talk. Now, as far as this show goes, guys, y'all can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We also have a Patreon, which if you'd like to contribute to the show, greatly appreciated. Please do so at patreon.com at Expanding Reality. You guys, every little bit helps. Contribute as little or as much as you want. It's just a value for value system. If you find the show valuable, help your boy out, show a little love, throw a little coin to your boy. If not, no worries. Either way, it'll still be put out for free. You guys will still be able to enjoy it as much as you'd like. Also, the full video of this will be on YouTube. Liking and sharing always helps the show as well, and we are grateful for the feedback that we've gotten over here at Expanding Reality. We really appreciate you guys. So take some of the wisdom from Vikter Bang out of this show. You guys move on into your day-to-day. Just pick up a piece of litter. Say something nice to a stranger. Smile at every single person you see. Nothing creepy. Just a nice little friendly smile. It makes everybody's day better. You guys get out of that left-hand lane. That's annoying as hell, and y'all know that. You know who you are. Get out of that left-hand lane. And then as well, just overall and in general, just be good to one another. We'll see you next time.
Grandma, can I have the chocolate chips?
This secret recipe moment made possible by Emory Heart and Vascular Center. When Grandma needed heart care, she came to Emory. The difference? Emory Healthcare performs more heart procedures annually than anyone else in Georgia, which means better outcomes for our patients. And we offer advanced and personalized treatments developed by our top specialists that others don't. Like Grandma knows, where you start your heart care matters. Smart Cookie. EmoryHealthcare.org/smartcookie.